This is the Everything EV podcast by EV Powered.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Everything EV podcast, the podcast dedicated to everything electric. I'm your host, Charlie Atkinson, and in these episodes we'll be discussing everything to do with electric travel. So whether it be cars, bikes, boats, or even planes, we'll have it covered. We'll also be speaking to people from within the industry to get their views on the EV space, as well as other features such as electric car reviews, electric motorsport coverage, and much, much more along the way. This podcast is available on all streaming platforms, so be sure to subscribe to wherever you get your podcast from to receive every single episode as soon as it's released. And please do go back and check out all our other episodes too. This week, I was in Milan for the official design launch of AEHRA, an ultra-premium Italian automotive brand that has just launched its first ever vehicle, a fully electric SUV with a supercar design. I spoke to co-founder Hazim about the car and what this launch means for the company. First of all, congratulations. It's been an amazing couple of days here in Milan. So, it must be an important milestone for the company.
Absolutely. We've been rushing until the last minute to make it happen on time, and we're glad everything worked out. It was a good event, and the feedback we're getting is very positive, so we're very happy about this.
Yeah, and without giving us going day by day, what's the process been like from when you first started, the initial inspiration behind the company to where we are today? Has it been quite a smooth process, or has it had its challenges along the way?
It definitely had many challenges. Every step has had its challenges. First was really, trying to make substance of the core idea that we had. So the feedbacks that we were getting were many people tried to tell us, don't do it. It's it's a very difficult market, a very difficult sector. The best way to make money in the automotive sector is to start with a lot of money and lose half of it. That was a feedback by many people, obviously. But we had the strong belief that what we were doing was different, that we had to see this change happen. And the more and more we kept going, the more we validated these ideas. And really what you see is the result of the concreteness of the motivation of what we're doing.
Yeah, you said there that you wanted to create something different to what's already out there and what's on the market, and we've had a lot of information over the last couple of days of just how this car stands out from everything else on the market. So without telling us absolutely everything and going through every details, because I know you've done that probably 1,000 times already today, what are the sort of main areas and the main selling points of the AEHRA that makes it stand out from anything else out there?
Design language, the emotionality the exterior expresses, the resulting cabin space, and the materials that then translate both in energy savings and also in vehicle dynamics.
Yeah.
This is a vehicle that can act as a supercar in performance-wise, but at the same time can act in an autonomous saloon when you need to. So the type of usages that any type of customer would want to have in any type of vehicle, I think, are summarized in this.
Yeah. When we spoke a couple of months ago, you said something that really stood out to me. You said that the design of the car is, in your opinion, going to end up being one of the most important factors for a prospective customer when it comes to buying a car. So can you just explain that in a bit more detail and why you think that is, and why the design of a car in this day and age is becoming increasingly important?
So what you're seeing today is the beginning of the transition. There are many vehicles in circulation, there are many vehicles in development, but what you take out of all the process that's going on is an ecosystem of powertrains, an ecosystem of components that are already reaching the typical limit of potential usage of any type of customer. You have vehicles in circulation with thousands of horsepower, with 800 kilometers range. Once these numbers begin to be mainstream and you develop a third-party ecosystem of such components, what does the customer look for? When anybody can pick and choose components to make a system that can fit into these numbers, it's all the other elements that make the difference.
Yeah.
It's the design, it's the emotions you get out of a vehicle, it's the fact that when you want to drive it, you can drive it like you really want to drive it. When you don't want to drive it, you can have a system in place that drives through you or assists you to drive, but you also have a saloon experience in the vehicle. It's all these elements that need to be addressed because all the rest of the elements are already being addressed.
Yeah, we had this conversation over dinner last night actually, that nowadays you can get so many electric vehicles that can do 0 to 60 in 3 seconds or whatever. So
sub 2 seconds.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
So the difference between 3 seconds and 2 seconds is minimal. So yeah, I see what you're saying, but people are going to start looking for, well, the performance side of things is almost guaranteed in an EV. So what else can I get for my money? So
exactly. I mean, for us, it's fairly senseless to have 1.9 seconds accelerations when you're driving a 3 tons vehicle or a 2.5 tons vehicle that significantly under brakes, for example. You have all sorts of safety issues to address as well. These numbers were always numbers of the hypercar segment, where you maybe have 5 cars per year in production, or maybe 10 cars per year in production, of which half were going into somebody's salon, not really on the road. Imagine a market where hundreds of thousands of vehicles in circulation have 0 to 60 in below 2 seconds. It becomes also an issue of regulation. We think sooner or later the regulators will have to step in and address these issues. The past of the fights between the supercar producers for the last 10, 15 horsepowers is completely gone now in the electric systems. It's very, very simple to have an additional 200 horsepower with a simple electric motor that you can find off the shelf with dozens and dozens of suppliers. So stacking up power is really simple in the EV segment. And is that the direction the market should go into? Once you've reached the emotions that the customer needs, there are other elements that you need to address. And as you rightly said, for any type of customer, unless you're going to race in some racetrack, 3 or 2 seconds is minimal difference. But you're adding a lot of hazard to it by going from 3 to 2. So is that the right process? Are there other elements that you should be focusing on? Should you try to lower the weight of the vehicles? Should you increase the vehicle dynamics capabilities of the vehicles? We think these are the right answers that we need to address, and this is where we're focusing on.
Yeah. Can you just give us, I know this event has been mainly tailored around the design of the car and how it looks like, and there's going to be more information on the interior and things like that, but can you give us a bit of an insight into the range and the performance of the vehicle? Yeah, I know deliveries are 2025, is that right?
That's right.
So we're a few years off still, but do you have any ideas on range, charging?
Well, we are already contracting on the main subcomponents to address the ranges and power outputs that we're targeting. We're targeting a power output between 550 and 600 kilowatts. That will be addressed by either 2 axles or 3 axles. The vehicle will have full torque vectoring even with 2 axles because of the fact that we have rear steering. With the long wheelbase that we have, we'll have to have rear steering, which means that even with 2 axles we'll be able to have full torque vectoring. Having said that, the choice between 550 or 600 is primarily down to the end supplier that we'll be signing up with. In terms of range, our target range is 800 kilometers. This is a result of primarily the weight savings that we're doing, along with the aerodynamics that we've put in place. The materials that we're using allow us to have significantly lighter vehicles compared to the traditional EVs in circulation of their size, and also properties of vehicle dynamics in terms of torsion and structural strength. So we'll be the first to utilize full composite materials for all the structure and the body and white elements of the vehicle. Only the crash elements will be in aluminum. This makes it so that we have this significant weight advantage. At the same time, the type of composite materials we're using and the technology we're using to make use of them makes it so that we're able to use recyclable carbon fiber and recyclable composites, which significantly lowers the carbon footprint of the vehicles. This is a very important aspect for us.
Yeah, so we've hit this landmark today where if you've released the first design of it, we see the car and it's I said everyone I've spoken to absolutely loves the designs. But where does AEHRA go from here now? What are the next steps along that along the roadmap of the company?
So the key focus for us is getting into production now. We have 2 vehicles that are ready, I would say, for serialization. And what you see is the SUV. Well, we don't call it SUV, but obviously it's the dimensions of an SUV. We will have the dimensions of a more of a sedan type vehicle, which will be really coming out of the exact same platform of this vehicle. So the next phase for us will be the rollout of the show car of the sedan. In this timing from now until the early spring when we will be doing so. The key is to close the supply of the 4 main subcomponents of the powertrain: batteries, axles, HVAC systems, the steering systems. Thereafter, the serialization process of both vehicles. We have already agreements in place, preliminary agreements in place for the supply of carbon fiber materials. In that sense, we've already identified who we're going to be working with. Their reality is based in Italy. Both on the, let's say, on the serialization process and on the tooling process. Thereafter, once we are able to enter into full-scale production, there will be a gradual ramp-up, and thereafter we're introducing a 2+2 model that's also coming out of this architecture with a shorter wheelbase.
Okay, perfect. And just to finish things up, we're speaking to Filippo next, but I know you've, as part of this project, you've assembled the sort of the best of Italian car designers. So could you just give us a bit of an overview of who's in your team and a bit of their background as well?
So the chief designer is Filippo Perini. He's coming from nearly 3 decades of highest caliber design experience. He was, prior to joining us, he was head of design at Genesis. Prior to that, he was chief designer at Lamborghini. Been involved in many, really, some of the most iconic vehicles in circulation today. Along with him comes Alessandro Serra, who was his right hand for nearly 2 decades in the names that we've mentioned already. Also, from their past experience comes Alessandro Salvanin, who's just joined us from Lambo. There's Marco Quamari, who's joined us from Ital Design, who also was working. Practically all the team has been working with Filippo from varying between 5 to 20 years at least. We have Marco Quamari, as I mentioned. We have Giuseppe Ceccio, who was Ital Design, and after that he was at Genesis. So Filippo has basically brought the best people that he's worked
team.
with, and really the vibes of them working together is really nice to see. They're always very accustomed to working with together. They're really like good friends. You can see that it's not just work for them. On the engineering side, we will have big announcements coming. We have one of the automotive world's most respected engineering figure who's joined us formally. Will be announcing this we'll be making an announcement over the next month or so, but he'll be formally joining us on the 1st of March.
Watch this space. I also spoke with AEHRA's head of design, Filippo Perini, to discuss the car's design in detail and to get more of an insight into the interior and other specific details of the car's aesthetic. Well, yeah, first of all, congratulations. It's been an amazing couple of days and really appreciate you inviting us down here. So probably as a designer as well, that moment when you get to pull the covers off is a really proud moment and quite fulfilling for however many years work this has been.
Yeah, it's you are totally right. It always looks like a moment where we are hating and loving the model in the same time. No? You love because you know that is the expression of your job, the job you did with the team for weeks and months, and you hate it because you know that there is somebody that has to say yes, I like or I dislike, and sometimes this is exposing you to a treat. No, it's typical of designer. We are pleased and scared in the same time. No, it's always very strange situation. But yesterday, I have to say that was very, very nice for me. I was for the first time working with a startup and presenting with a startup company. I was a bit scared, I have to say, no, because you have not let me say, the automatic way to do the presentation. It's very different and new. But I have to say that in the evening, I said, okay, it's very positive. It was very positive for me, at least.
Yeah. So it was quite a gamble considering your background and your career so far, it was quite a gamble to take the step over to work with a startup and to work with AEHRA then.
Yeah, it's at least the world is a gamble today. It's I call this revolution like the tsunami, tsunami that is coming and is cleaning up the beach and the ground and is changing the game. And the designers are the children that are playing on the sand of the beach. We are the first one looking for the tsunami that is arriving, because for some point of view we are also addressing this kind of waves. Designers are obliged to understand which is the changement and to interpret it, maybe to be prepared and to do something that fits with this changement. This is what we are trying to do.
Yeah, and you mentioned in your first answer that designers are, like you said, you hate it and you love it at the same time, and you're a bit of a perfectionist. Is that fair to say? So when you look at the car now, are there still little things that you notice that maybe we should have changed that, or are you fully 100% happy with it?
Okay, for the first sentence, I think that we are not alone. I read tennis players that are that were master in tennis, that are simply hate their sports, no? Because when you have the passion like this, it's very easy to become to arrive to hate your passion, no?
Blessing
because
and a curse.
you feel that every detail can be better. You are a perfectionist. This is strictly related. I can tell you that I will change something in every car I did, every car. So this is not different. The chance is that we are in an evolution with AEHRA. This is the first model we are presenting. We've been not the last evolution of this model, because in front of us there is the feasibility process and the production process. So it will change a little, not dramatically, but it will change a bit. So we will have the chance to do it better. And anyway, I'm waiting for this process, because this will bring us in the production, in the market. So that's very, very dreamful.
So talk to us about the car then. When obviously we spoke to Hazim yesterday, and he said that you were basically given a blank sheet of paper for this car. So what are some of the key design principles that you can see when you look at this car? Okay,
the first concept was to build a car. Hazim, due to the fact that he's a pilot and he comes from aeronautics fields, he told us, I dream a car that is made with a wing profile shape. And we were starting from this. You can recognize this initial concept in the car, because at least we come to the monobody concept. So you have the car that is built around a single line in the silhouette, and this is also very innovative and modern, but also used in the past many times. We are the first one that are trying to put in production this kind of concepts. And this is the inspiration at the beginning. After we did a lot of evolution, it's 1 year and something that we are working for this car to fix the design, to freeze the design of this car in this stage. And there is already a kind of visible evolution in this. And what is important to say, that this is not a concept. It's a car that is ready to be produced in a short time. So it's we are used as a team to don't do concept car just for the motor show, for the show, just for fun. No, or to test design languages. We are doing cars that can be produced, and at the same time we test our concept. That is quite different, and is absolutely important for a startup where we have not to waste time and energy and money to useless activities.
Yeah, and we know that there's going to be a sedan that's announced later, I think early next year.
Yeah.
Is there going to be any sort of similarities to this model, or are they going to be quite different?
It will be even more extreme, because we will have a sedan based in the same platform, using the same design languages, surface treatment, and maybe also the main inspiration, but it will be different design solutions. So it will look very, very different.
Yeah, I like the word you used yesterday as well when we were talking about designing the car, that you wanted to, it was about being an emotional car. How hard is that as a designer to capture? Because I imagine it must be quite easy to design a car that looks good, but I imagine the challenge is, like you said, to capture that emotion and that experience that you get when you look at it, and also when you're behind the wheel.
It's there is not a single rule or a single recipe to do this. No, when we hire a new designer in our team, we realize that we are taking his life. The meaning is that his life before to become a designer was directing his curiosity, his creativity in a direction. And this is what we are. So the recipe to do a beautiful car is just to be able to translate your culture, your thinking of beauty in a car or in a product. In this case, the car that has the movement. It's for us. We are attracted by the movement, by the speed, the dynamism. The car is beautiful for this, and we are trying to translate this in the masses, in the volume, in the design feature of every car we touch.
Yeah, and there's a few interesting aspects which help set this car apart from anything else on the market. I was particularly interested in the wing mirrors and how they were inspired by motorcycle racing. Can you give us a bit more detail and insight into the thought process behind that?
Okay, the wings cameras, mirrors are done for many purposes. One is to reduce the drag, so it's not anymore a traditional mirror. There is just a little camera, so we have just to place the camera where it's necessary to have the angle field, view field covered. And there is also an aesthetic reason, because if you take a look, the post from C to A ends in the side mirror, and the A post is not attached to the fender. And this is a graphic solution to leave the impression to your brain that the reflection are going from the front to the side very fluent, no? like a kind of flow. No?
Yeah.
And this is made on purpose. The inspiration, the designer is Alessandro that did this solution, takes inspiration from a race motorbike.
Okay.
Now they have this kind of winglets, and we were attracted. They are very, very modern. They look very innovative, very modern. It's one of the first time aerodynamics are applied to motorbike, and we were inspired by this. Now we were also trying much more traditional solution, but at least when we found this, we said, okay, this is the thing we want for the concept.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know there was a lot of focus yesterday about the doors as well, and how do you pronounce the door?
AEHRA.
Yeah. So can you just explain about that as well, and how they're going to work, and how it's a world first?
Yeah, it will be. I think I'm sure the first time that a solution like this is used for a four-door car. In the front, you see front doors are like supercar doors. We added also to the rear because we discovered that in an SUV like this, you can anyway try to improve the entrance and the exit from the car. And due to the fact that these doors are taking away a portion of the roof, it's very easy to enter and to exit from the car. In the front and the rear passenger row. It's very, very interesting. And we have also, as a designer, the beauty of a bit of drama because of the opening, that we like it. At least one of the goals for us was also to place on the road a concept car. Now it's also the dream of every designer, no? To try to find solutions that are conceptual, but that can be also feasible. And this is the goal for us.
Yeah, I know we'll have a bit more information on the interior of the car as well, and I appreciate you can't say too much at the moment, but I know the design of the car, especially with the short front overhang, is to create more space on the inside. So What is your approach and your philosophy for the interior going to consist of?
Okay, the car will have a lot of new technology in terms of construction. We will massively use the technology of composite materials for the monocoque, both monocoque and body white. So it will be for us easy to take away parts and to leave the materials on view where possible, because we feel that these materials are very nice, very beautiful to see. In terms of ergonomy, the elongated wheelbase associated to reduce the front and rear overhang are keeping the overall length of the car that is acceptable, but inside you have a really huge interior. It's comparable to some long wheelbase limousines. So the front, rear, and rear passenger are placed in a way that you can sit, elongating your legs. In the rear, for example, it's
good for me. Yeah.
It's very good. Yes, we have the capability to have inside 4 NBA players. So people tall like plus than 2 meters with beautiful comfort. So you can imagine if you are a normal height person, you have really a lot of space. And we will have a configurable solution for the seats, and with the possibility to have really a kind of first-class travel experience in the rear seats.
Amazing. And now just to finish things up, obviously we've spoken about your background and how you've worked across some amazing companies and designed some iconic cars. We don't have to name them, but when you look at that car, it's just sat out there. Where does that rank among your portfolio? Is it the best? Is it in the top 3?
Absolutely, it's the best of the SUV we designed with my team, because it's the most advanced one. After there are many typology, I can say to you that probably the sedan will be the best of the sedan I designed. Okay. We did also sedan with my team in the past, concept and production car. I started the first car I was touching was a sedan. And I like also the typology. Different typology means a different interpretation and different inspiration. For example, sedan will not have the same opening of the door. It's not necessary. The sedan will be enough dramatic because of the shape of the car. It will be really a super concept on the road. And so there is no ranking. Probably the best one will be the next one.
Yeah, always the next one.
Always, yes. We are, as I told you, we know every designer knows where are the defects you can correct. No, and this is a never-ending story. So
Never
when
perfect.
When there is another project, you have the chance to do something perfect.
Absolutely.
But you will not. So you wait for the next one.
Absolutely. That's all for this episode. Many thanks for listening, and if you liked it, then please do check out all our other episodes, and be sure to subscribe to wherever you get your podcast from, to make sure you get every single episode as soon as it's released. For daily news coverage, features and much more, you can also head over to evpowered.co.uk. Thanks once again for listening, and we'll see you on the very next episode of the Everything EV podcast.